Good morning. My name is Pat Staude, and I'm excited to be with you this morning with a very special guest here with me to welcome you to 2019 and to wish you a happy new year. I'm here with Dr. Cynthia Guy. Dr. Cynthia Guy is an Optavia coach. She's also an author and a speaker, and she's working very hard to create and promote healthy communities and healthy habits. Good morning, Dr. Guy. How are you today?
Good morning, my dear Coach Patricia. I'm delighted to be here with you today, the second day of January 2019. Happy New Year to you and everyone else who's listening to us today.
Well, the same to you. And I know we're excited about the new year and creating healthy communities. And what I'd like to do today, Dr. Guy, is start with asking questions and, that people can contemplate and really come up with their own answers. There's so much talk about resolutions, and we're all here and we feel so hopeful for the new year. So tell me, when we think about it, so many of us have done it for years, talking about and planning resolutions. Why do we want this change? What are we looking for?
Well, Pat, that's a fascinating question because so many of us make resolutions at the beginning of the year, and they rapidly dissipate and disappear off our to-do list, like in 30 days or less. One of the things we struggle with at certain points in our life is how to change the habits that we have to make our life better in health, in mental status, in productivity. How do we do that? And why do we want to do it? Because we want to live in longevity with really a nice, healthful, graceful life. I think that we have to answer the why. Why do we want changes? I think once we define why we want changes, we're able to start looking at how we can possibly do it. Because a lot of times we don't have the answer and how we can change. We make an attempt and we struggle and we fall off the cliff, so to speak.
Right.
It doesn't last long. So
think of how would someone define, how can I do this? How can we help?
Well, we need to change the habits that we recognize that are not conducive to a healthy life. For example, we all know that we sometimes indulge in things that we eat that promotes weight, that promotes other issues in our body, inflammation, for example. And how do we change those habits we call the bad habits to good habits? Well, science shows us that we have triggers that causes us to eat or drink food and beverages that are not conducive at a cellular level to promote health. What are those triggers? Two important triggers we want to mention today. One is stress. Stress, my dear Pat and friends that are listening, is really our killer, so to speak. We need to identify stress and call it what it is and seek mechanisms for dealing with stress. I personally deal with stress through meditation. For some people that are already meditating, perhaps you're not doing it on a frequent basis. You need to do it daily basis, sometimes twice a day. And for those who are not even thinking of meditation, maybe they can start with doing positive affirmations. There are so much information today on meditation. We're using meditation in our work, in our jobs, in our families, in our spirituality. I think meditation is key for our well-being. So that's one way of dealing with stress. Another way of dealing with stress is, are we getting good sleep at night? Are we sleeping the 6 to 8 hours that we need to sleep in order to have good judgment? When we do not sleep well, our judgment and our motivation is impaired the next day. There are some interesting studies I have recently read concerning sleep, and they even attribute poor sleeping habits to poor moral judgment. I thought that was going a little bit harsh when they say it impedes your good morality. But I guess if you don't have good judgment in daily living, I guess your morality can be harmed also. So sleeping is crucial. So how do we attain good sleep? How do we deal with stress? I think it's something we really need to focus on, seeing how we can change those habits to bring our biology and our chemistry in synchrony with our health. It's a difficult, daunting process for some of us. We need to really try to make it every day and somehow practicing it, and in so doing, we will change our habits that's already implanted in our brain that we've been doing over and over and not getting anywhere. We need to supplant it with the good habits, which are decreasing stress for today and getting some good sleep.
Wow. And sometimes just small incremental changes on a daily basis will help us create those new habits. So who can support us in this venture, Dr. Guy?
Well, you know, the studies have shown that, again, and you probably say I mentioned too many studies, but the important thing is we learn by those who do all the research. So I'm pretty much for that. It's not anecdotal. I mean, this is good scientific foundation. It shows that we can change when we have support. And by support, it's better to find someone who can be objective in our changes, with our changes, and not subjective. And by this, I mean, you can say, well, I have my best friend that I will be talking to on a daily basis, or my daughter, or my sister, but I do believe those are very subjective opinions that are going to be given to you. And I think objective, using a coach, I think is of prime importance. When you use a coach, the coach can be objective with you. The coach can tell you the way it is, and that is. And studies again have shown that people who have a coach are 60 to 80% successful in creating new changes that are good. People who do not have a coach are not as successful, probably maybe 20 to 40%. So I strongly suggest how to do it. Find yourself a coach who can listen to your story, who can support you in creating these positive, beautiful changes for a healthy lifestyle in 2019 and beyond.
Great. And you know, the beauty of a coach is basically a coach will help you to create what you want in your life. It's not about the coach. It's about what you want to create and being held accountable and having support for what you wanting to create. So I want to thank you, Dr. Guy. We would like to invite you all to join us every Wednesday morning about 9:30 Eastern, between 9:30 and 10 a.m. Eastern, for just a few minutes with Dr. Cynthia Guy and health tips that we will share together.
Thank you, Pat. I really enjoyed this few moments with you today, and I hope those who will be listening to this will find it to be of value. We would like to